Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Episode 2 of the DBC Football Podcast. You can find us on www.dbcfootball.com. Find us on the social medias, the tweeters, and the instas at DBC_football. You can also check out our podcast on YouTube, DBC_football, or find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Blueberry, or whatever it is that you use. Subscribe and share.
Just find us anywhere.
Find us anywhere. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoyed our first episode. Here we are at episode 2. We're only getting better.
Oh, yeah.
We're cooking with gas.
We are.
All right. I am Dylan, your co-host, and I'm here with Tom, the other co-host.
The better one, actually.
It's debatable. How you doing today, Tom?
Oh, I'm pretty good.
You feeling froggy?
Oh, froggy fresh.
Ooh, man. Check that out. Froggy and fresh. Good for you. So welcome back. Last time we talked a little bit about the state of the NFL offseason.
Yeah. Exciting.
Yeah, we also learned about Tom, the Cowboys fan, and me, the Eagles fan.
Somehow we make a good pair.
We do. We think we make a good pair. We argue a lot, so it's good. It's constructive.
Yeah, good.
We point out the flaws of each other's teams. It's great.
Yeah, it is.
Yet somehow, I mean, we'll kind of circle back to that. You're a Jersey guy.
I am.
You like the Sixers, the Phillies, and the Flyers.
Mm-hmm.
Yet no Eagles, no love.
Nah. They did my boy T.O. wrong.
Yeah, you're holding on to that.
I am.
Yeah.
Grudge.
Yeah, good for you. Good for you, buddy. Anyway, we're going to jump right into the action here.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to get right into it. We promised you a mock draft. What we have here today is 2 mock drafts.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. So I put together my first mock draft of the off-season, Rev A, and so did you, Tom, right?
I did. I
did. You any twists and turns coming up our way?
No, I got a couple of picks. I mean, I feel like some of ours will be very similar.
Okay.
I also feel like, there's some that
I have a feeling. I have a feeling here.
You do?
Yep, I have a feeling that our first pick is going to be identical. Potentially. So, without any further ado, here's what we'll do. We'll bounce off each other's picks here. So we're going to start round 1, pick 1, Cleveland Browns. Who do you have them taken, Tom?
It's obvious. Myles Garrett. He's the best player in the draft.
Great, yeah, the defensive end from Texas A&M, Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
He's a big dude.
He is.
He looks a lot like Julius Peppers did. Yeah. Just big, athletic freak.
Oh yeah, I mean, despite the need of that quarterback, sometimes you just gotta go best player available.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in the best player available.
Yeah.
Look at the best teams, and that's what they do.
Oh yeah,
it's their core philosophy. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I don't think there's any debate there.
No.
Best player on the board, first pick, take him.
Yes.
Yeah. Good for you, Cleveland. Good for you.
Yeah. For once.
Good for once. Yeah. Just don't recall Tim Couch.
Yes.
Up there. It's not 99.
It is not.
Yeah. So, moving right along, San Francisco 49ers at number 2. Who do you got, Tom?
Got the defensive lineman from Alabama, Jonathan Allen.
Good pick. Good pick.
I feel like San Francisco's rush defense was historically bad last year, and that'll definitely help shore up the front 7.
Yeah, I respectfully disagree. I think that even though it was a different regime that has taken consecutive big men from Oregon, in Eric Armstead and DeForest Buckner, I don't think that they invest a third consecutive first-round pick on a defensive lineman. I actually think that John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan are going to reach for a quarterback here, and I think they take your buddy, Mitchell Trubisky, quarterback, North Carolina.
Yeah, I just feel like they're putting their coins in for Kirk Cousins next year, so...
Yeah, just there's no guarantee of that.
There's not, but...
It's tough, but good pick either way.
Yeah.
Jonathan Allen, I think he's going to be a really good player.
I feel like he's the safest player in the draft.
Probably.
I mean, doesn't have as high as a ceiling as Garrett, but I feel like his floor is higher.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you there. For me, I can't see the Niners moving forward with the 2016 Bears quarterback room in Matt Barkley and Brian Hoyer.
Yeah.
So, although I'm a Hoyer guy,
yeah,
I like Hoyer.
I feel like he could hold down the fort.
But we'll see. All right, so let's move to number 3 here. Chicago Bears are on the clock. Who do you got, Tom?
Jamal Adams, safety from LSU.
Not a bad pick.
They got some good players on their defense with Dan Trevathan. You got Leonard Floyd from last year. Get somebody to shore up the secondary. He's a leader from day one.
Yeah, Jamal Adams, good player.
Mm-hmm.
I don't disagree. However, I will disagree. How's that for confusion?
Makes sense.
I have the Bears taking Solomon Thomas, defensive lineman from Stanford. I think that John Fox is so overly aggressive on defense that this pick helps Chicago moving forward. Just unfortunately for Foxy, I don't think that he's there long enough for this to really help him.
Yeah, he won't be able to see the true effects.
Yeah, it won't come to fruition for Foxy in
Especially
Chicago.
with the great Mike Glennon coming in playing quarterback.
The great Mike Glennon. Can we coin that? Can we own that?
Yes, we can.
Great. Number 4, Jacksonville Jaguars. Who do you think, Tom?
Now, you might disagree with this, but I have them taking Solomon Thomas. While they already do have some good players on their defensive line, adding a player of Thomas's caliber will pretty much make every quarterback playing against them have a nightmare.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, you're talking Calais Campbell, Malik Jackson, and Solomon Thomas. That's pretty formidable.
And you also have former first-round pick Dante Fowler.
Dante Fowler on the edge, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a beastly D-line.
Yeah.
Good for them. Good for them.
Yeah.
I do disagree. I think the Jacksonville, similar strategy, different position.
Mm-hmm.
I have them taking cornerback Marshawn Lattimore, Ohio State. I think in the course of 2 seasons, for them to get Jalen Ramsey, and Marshawn Lattimore back-to-back, I tell you.
That would definitely help.
And they were already the 5th-ranked pass defense last season, so that would only make them better.
Mm-hmm.
And then they wouldn't have to lean on or just completely depend on A.J. Boye, who I mentioned last episode, could be a boom or bust type of player.
Definitely.
All right, number 5, one of the couple teams that has multiple first-round picks, thanks to the trades last season. Tennessee totally
definitely one-sided trade.
Yeah, Tennessee took the Rams for a ride there.
Yep, definitely.
So Jeff Fisher was smart enough to be on the right end of the trade once, and then he bit him when he ended up on the other side of the trade.
Yes.
So, who do you have, Tom? Tennessee Titans.
I have the guy that you have going to Jacksonville, Marshawn Lattimore.
Okay.
Cornerback is a big need for Tennessee, and to be able to get somebody of his caliber would definitely help them right away.
Yeah, I could see that. That could be a good pick. They did go after a couple guys in free agency. They got Logan Ryan, and I believe they got Cyprian, former Jaguar safety. So, good stuff.
Yeah.
Like we talked about the last pick. I mean, Marshawn Lattimore is going to be a good player.
Yeah.
I think he's a very safe corner pick in this draft. It's a deep drafted corner.
It is.
So I actually have Tennessee taking defensive end Jonathan Allen from Alabama. Again, I agree with you. I think he's the safest player in this draft, and he would really help solidify Tennessee's defensive line after they threw some money at it in free agency. So they threw some money at their secondary. Moving right along. Number 6 on the clock, the New York Football Jets. 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 Who do you have?
I got them taking running back Leonard Fournette.
Interesting.
I feel like, they just drafted Hackenberg in the 2nd round last year. I feel like you need to see what you have with him before you go spend a first-round pick on another quarterback. And whoever's playing back there, I feel like he will alleviate some pressure off of them.
Absolutely. That's the second pick we agree on then. Yeah. I also have Leonard Fournette, LSU running back, going to the New York Jets. I think he's such a different player from Matt Forte that it really helps them, and I think he takes a lot of pressure off the android Russian from Rocky in Josh McCown. Yeah, you can't tell me they don't look alike.
They do.
They do.
I feel like it's obviously Forte's getting up there in age.
Yeah. So I mean, McCown's 37.
Yeah,
but running back and quarterback, big difference. But yeah, I think if it was a different regime, I think they'd go and potentially go after quarterback here. But because it's still the same regime and they're trying to make it work out there with Todd Bowles, I think that Hackenberg is still the quarterback of the future.
Yeah. He definitely has his flaws, but you can't draft somebody in the 2nd round and not even see what you have with them.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got to see what you had. You invested a high pick in him, so I think Fournette just makes that team better.
Yes.
And he could be their workhorse type of running back for the better part of a decade.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving along to number 7, the Los Angeles, still really weird to say that, the Los Angeles Chargers are on the clock. Tom, fire away.
Got them taking safety out of Ohio State, Malik Hooker. I feel like they really missed Eric Weddle last year, and that would just give them somebody they can rely on.
It was a messy divorce between them and Eric Weddle, who was a really fun player to watch.
He's still playing well down in Baltimore.
Yeah, good for him. I disagree. I have them taking a player that you already have off the board for good reason. Safety Jamal Adams. I think he is a punisher, and he'll usher in a new era in LA for the Bolts.
Either way, they need a safety. They need some help back there.
Yeah, I think we went with a common position there, just different player. Okay, moving along to number 8, the Carolina Panthers. What a disappointing season.
Yeah.
If you're picking 8th, you had a bad year, ladies and gentlemen.
True. Unless, you're like Tennessee and completely destroyed somebody in the trade market.
Yeah. Not all that often, though.
Yeah.
So, Carolina on the clock. Who you bringing in to help Cam Newton?
I got them taking a certain player from your favorite college.
Oh, I know where we're going. We're going with a Vol.
Derek Barnett.
Great
like
player.
Their two best defensive ends are Charles Johnson and Julius Peppers, who are both into the 30s.
Yeah.
Peppers well into his 30s.
Yeah.
Obviously, they just traded Coney Ely, which wasn't probably the smartest thing to do.
Yeah, Gettleman is defending that trade already.
Oh yeah, I mean he.
What did he say? He said that's moving up 8 spots is gold.
It's gold.
Yeah.
But I mean, while Garrett and Thomas are better players, I feel like Barnett is a better pure pass rusher, and
yeah, he can pin his ears back and go.
Yeah, I mean they just they need somebody to get to the quarterback that's under 30. So I feel like this is a big position in need, and they're happy Barnett fell to them.
Yeah, I would love that pick. Anytime you get a Vol in the top 10, it's a good thing. I have them going corner. The very highly famous divorce with Josh Norman last year. They really struggled on the corners.
300 yards to Julio.
Even waived their second-round pick, who was a corner. So I have them taking Tre'Davious White out of LSU. In my mock draft, giving consecutive Tigers off the board from Baton Rouge. Obviously, he feels a huge need, and he's an incredible talent.
Yes.
So, won't have to spend too much time there. Number 9, the Cincinnati Bengals. What do you think, Tom? Who does Marvin Lewis go after?
Well, obviously, they don't have too much of an issue going after players with a little bit of baggage on them. So I have them going after linebacker Reuben Foster from Alabama. I feel like he fills a need. I mean, they just signed Kevin Minter, but it's only a 1-year deal.
Right.
And he's he's a slightly above average player, but I feel like Foster's a definite difference maker on defense.
Yeah, it's Alabama linebackers have made a name for themselves in the NFL. I mean, Alabama players in general. Yeah. Nick Saban's team.
Besides quarterbacks.
Alabama teams, they have good players. Reuben Foster, for those who don't know, had an issue with a doctor at the combine, flipped out on him, got sent home, sent packing, had a very public apology, and the word on the street is teams believe him.
Yeah.
Kid, at the end of the day, these are just kids.
There you go.
So he apologized. He feels bad for what he did, and yeah, it kind of fits the bill, right? The Bengals just released Ray Malaluga.
Yes, they did.
Even though they signed Kevin Minter, they do have a need at linebacker, so I think that makes sense. However, I think that the Bengals go after a safety in Malik Hooker, and they just keep an absolute superstar in state. They bring him in. Marvin Lewis is kind of winding down his coaching career.
Yeah.
I think it makes a lot of sense. And rounding out the top 10, we have the Buffalo Bills. You may know them from 4 consecutive Super Bowls that they didn't win. Who do you think, Tom?
I have them going after another receiver from Clemson, and Mike Williams. Sammy Watkins isn't always available, but even when he is, you don't really have anybody behind him to catch the ball.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they definitely need that number 2, and the guy could even develop into the number 1 receiver there. Yeah. Tyrod Taylor is an underrated quarterback. You just need to give him some weapons.
Yeah, I think T-Mobile would really love that pick. It would be fireworks in Buffalo, and that's the 3rd pick we agree on. I also have Mike Williams, wide receiver from Clemson, going to Buffalo. It just feels like it makes sense, even though Rex Ryan's gone, who had an affinity for Clemson players. I think it just makes sense. His son plays for Clemson, Rex Ryan. But yeah, I think that they lost Marquise Goodwin, they lost Robert Woods. They really have a need at wide receiver.
Yes,
and I think Mike Williams fits the bill for them.
Definitely a position they might need to double up on in this draft.
Yeah, absolutely. They didn't really make a splash in free agency, which isn't a big deal, but I could really see them going after Mike Williams.
Yeah.
Number 11, the New Orleans Saints. What do you think? Who's going to the Big Easy, Tom?
Now, you have this guy off your list already, but I have them going after Tre'Davious White.
Okay.
I feel like they're they need help all over their defense.
Absolutely.
And definitely line some up across from Delvin Breaux, who's actually turned out to be a pretty solid corner.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it would definitely give them. I mean, in that division, you got 3 good quarterbacks. You need to stop them somehow.
Right. Absolutely. The NFC South is formidable in the quarterback department.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a good pick. He's obviously a really good player.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you said, the Saints, they've done a pretty atrocious job building a defense over the years.
Their offense
Mickey's kind of slacking.
Their offense could definitely throw it with anybody, but
yeah, you can't rely on Drew Brees to put up 50 points a week.
Yeah, they need to stop somebody too.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think they also go defense, but a player that you already have off the board, Derek Barnett from the Tennessee Volunteers, and that's kind of what we're talking about. Either stop quarterbacks or get after them.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we both agree that they're going to go after defense heavy in this draft. Moving right along, we are now back on the clock with the Cleveland Browns. So Cleveland has 2 first-round picks in this year's draft, thanks to the trade with the Philadelphia Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
They may be kicking themselves a little bit by not having Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
I just want to highlight that.
Yeah, definitely not the smartest move there.
Yeah. So what do you think? You think they're going quarterback here?
I don't actually.
Okay.
While I do believe this pick could potentially land them a quarterback in Jimmy Garoppolo.
Absolutely.
If they don't get him, I believe this pick goes to arguably the safest offensive player in this draft, and O.J. Howard.
O.J. Howard, the tight end.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, this is next year's definitely a deeper crop of quarterbacks. I feel like they could kind of build a team around them and try to get somebody who's more highly touted next year if they're unable to land someone like Jimmy Garoppolo or A.J. McCarron.
Mm. Yeah, that'd be a really good pick. I think O.J. Howard's a safe player in this draft. However, I have them taking a quarterback kind of as a placeholder. I really think they're going to push for Jimmy Garoppolo. That's all the rumors and the signs are pointing there, and I think that New England's been loose with their picks because they feel like they're going to get a big return for Garoppolo. But I actually have Cleveland going after Deshaun Kaiser, quarterback from Notre Dame. I think that in that type of scenario, they get 2 leaders for their future. They get their quarterback, and they get their quarterback of their defense, so to speak, in Myles Garrett, who's just an absolute monster. So I kind of just wanted to say that again. That guy's a freak.
Can't say enough.
Absolutely. So good for Cleveland. Hopefully, they've had a few instances of multiple first-round picks over the last few years.
Not going their way.
Yeah, Justin Gilbert and Johnny Manziel. It's the year they took Brandon Weeden. Just a lot of misfires, so to speak.
Yes. You can't build a team when you're constantly missing on first-round picks.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Complete this sentence. With the 13th pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select
quarterback Deshaun Kaiser, the guy who just had going to Cleveland. I mean, Carson Palmer flirted with retirement this offseason.
Yeah.
Drew Stanton's not gonna.
He can dance though.
He can. But
he's a good sideline dancer.
They definitely need to start thinking about the future. And Bruce Arians, if he's still with the team, he obviously covets the big arm, tall receivers.
Yeah, he's a old school type of vertical attack.
Yeah, and that's if Kaiser can sit behind someone like Palmer for at least a year, I feel like that would really help him.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. A redshirt year, it's often not given to first round quarterbacks just because of the nature of the league.
Yeah,
but I think he could benefit from that. Worth noting that Kaiser is Mayock's top-ranked quarterback in this draft.
That's why he's my first quarterback off the board.
Yeah, he's only my second because I feel like that San Francisco is going to reach for Mitchell. I actually have the Cardinals taking Reuben Foster, linebacker, Alabama, who you had previously to the Bengals. There's a facade of toughness that B.A. loves, Bruce Arians. I feel like I can call him B.A. I don't know him at all.
You can't.
But he coached Temple way back when. So he credited his weight gain to Philadelphia soft pretzels and beer. So
I could see that.
Yeah,
definitely
good for him.
Definitely
it's a good way to go.
Hurting factor.
Yeah. So I think Reuben Foster helps their defense. They lost Kevin Minner in free agency, and good linebackers are hard to come by.
I mean, they lost Campbell too. I mean, obviously it's a different position, but you need somebody in the middle of that defense.
Yeah, you need some fresh blood and some new leaders in there. Let's get to the next pick, the most important pick in this draft. Will the fans boo? Will the fans go nuts? I'm curious. It'll be fun. There's actually more fans registered for tickets for this draft than any other in the history of the league. So
Yeah.
it's really exciting. Gives me hope that there'll be multiple drafts in the future in Philadelphia,
Yeah.
which would be awesome.
Don't have to make like 3-hour trips to go see the draft.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Yeah.
We live close to each other, but we're about 25 minutes out of the city, so good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you have? Who do you have the Eagles taking?
Well, obviously a big need going into free agency was receiver, but they shored that up for this season. So I have them going after another big need on offense at running back with Dalvin Cook. He has some turnover issues, but I feel like that's one of the few issues a player can have that's fixable.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like he can run through the tackles and he can, come out of the backfield and pass and give Carson Wentz a good option, whether he's handing it off or throwing it.
Yeah.
He definitely can't be throwing 40 times a game anymore.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah.
That's rough. You don't want your young quarterback to get shell shocked. You'll end up with the David Carr syndrome.
Yeah.
So I agree positionally. What you went with, you went running back there, and I also went running back. I think the Howie Roseman is more of a headline guy. He just can't help himself. He went after Alshon Jeffrey when he probably shouldn't have.
Mm-hmm.
He went after Torrey Smith, former big name type of player, played in the Super Bowl. I think Howie Roseman goes for the headlines here, and he goes after running back Christian McCaffrey from Stanford. It would obviously signal, if they go running back the first round, I think it signals the release of Ryan Matthews, which a lot of people expected.
I'm surprised he's still on the team.
So Ryan Matthews has played in about 70% of career games that he should have. So there's always that availability issue that we circle back to.
I'm pretty sure he was a first-round pick, and he's not even on
for the San
team
Diego
that drafted
Chargers.
him.
He was Ryan Matthews was the replacement for LT.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if you're a first-round pick and you're not even on the team that drafted you,
yeah, something went wrong
6
somewhere.
years later, I believe it is. Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. I personally, being an Eagles fan, would love to see them trade down, recoup a pick in the second or third round, possibly go after Cam Sutton, Volunteers cornerback. No big deal. But we'll see what happens. I think Howie knows how to wheel and deal.
Mm-hmm.
He also knows that if he doesn't pick inside of this first round, the fans will boo him.
Oh, yeah, I mean, they're
Not that he
lucky they
cares.
got a pick back out of it. Cause
that Bradford
didn't.
that Bradford trade was remarkable.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, very sad to see Bridgewater go down, but
Yeah.
Eagles fans are just ecstatic
Oh, yeah.
that we traded Bradford.
Yeah. Not a big fan of Bradford.
Captain Checkdown. Sammy Sleeves. Okay. Well, after the Eagles pick, which they won in a coin toss, technically the Vikings pick, the Indianapolis Colts are on the clock, who, with the brand new general manager, Ryan Grigson, is gone. I think that they could probably build a pretty strong relationship with Chuck Pagano finally. Yeah. Who do you think they take?
Well, with a new GM, I feel like they finally realized that they need more than just receivers. And they go after a defensive end in Takk McKinley.
Takk McKinley.
They don't really get too much pressure on the quarterback, and I feel like that would really help them in that area.
Yeah, he's kind of that hybrid linebacker, defensive end, edge rusher type of player. Takk McKinley out of UCLA, he's an electrifying type of player. Probably more of a pure pass rusher. Yeah. Aren't too many of those at the top end of this draft, but I think Takk McKinley could be a good one. A little bit skinny, Takk McKinley, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Good pick.
Yeah.
I went with corner.
Also a big need.
Also a big need on the other side of Davis. I went with Teez Tabor from Florida. So we'll see what happens, but I expect a lot of defensive players and linemen to be drafted in Indy this year. Grigson, I don't know.
Didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about the Trent Richardson trade and
first round pick for him.
Yeah. So we will see what happens. That leads us to the Baltimore Ravens at the midway point. The 16th pick in the NFL draft. Who are the Ravens taking, Tom?
I feel like they like speed at their receiver position. Joe Flacco has a strong arm. He likes throwing the bombs. So
Elite.
They go after somebody named John Ross, who just happened to break the 40-yard.
Yeah, John Ross. He's a quick dude.
Yeah.
He if he had worn a different pair of cleats, he'd own an island.
Yeah, that is true.
So good for John Ross and good for the Ravens and good for Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
From Delaware. Yeah, I also think they go receiver. However, I think they go with Corey Davis from Western Michigan, Baby T.O., as some people are calling him. But I think they're just desperate for receiving help. Steve Smith retired Brashad Perriman hasn't really lived up to his first-round pedigree.
And Mike Wallace is Mike Wallace.
Mike Wallace is what he is. I think Ozzie Newsome knows when to retool.
Mm-hmm.
They've been pretty darn good and consistent over the years in Baltimore. So I think receiver is certainly a position they could go after. Just depends on who they decide is their favorite flavor.
Mm-hmm.
So that's half of the draft. A lot of names. A lot of names came off the board, and there's a lot of good players in this draft, as there are every year.
There's definitely probably got 40 to 45 players that could potentially be drafted in the first round.
Yeah, there's a lot of variability.
Mm-hmm.
Things that you kind of tend to see in drafts are like runs on receivers, runs on corners, runs on linemen. Probably good to note, neither of us have an offensive lineman in the top half of the draft.
Too many other good players at good positions to really go for that pick.
So it's always fascinating how all that stuff plays out.
Yeah.
Guys get ranked and determined blue chip players. Jumping back into it, the 17th pick, the Washington football team on the clock. Who do you think they target?
I had them going after a linebacker from Vanderbilt and Zach Cunningham.
Okay.
Definitely, he fits their mold of big athletic guys. He's experienced. He's mature, and they need to shore up the middle of their defense a little bit.
Yeah,
I think that would definitely help them out.
That'd be an interesting pick. I have Cunningham more of a second round type of player, but I'm certainly not a GM.
Mm-hmm. Neither am I. So.
I actually have them going wide receiver and John Ross,
okay.
Who we briefly talked about with the Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
Speedster, Deshaun's gone, Pierre's gone. They need someone to help take pressure off of Pierre. Jamison Crowder and Jordan Reed. Vernon Davis isn't really getting any younger, so I think they go for receiving help in the first or second round. But I could see them also really going after linebacker or defensive line.
My only issue is just the fact that they drafted a receiver first round last year.
Yeah, Josh Doxson.
Yeah. I feel like if he can stay on the field, he'll be a solid receiver for them.
Yeah.
And they just signed Terrell Pryor as well.
So. Right. Yeah. Certainly some options there. Vanderbilt, by the way, beautiful campus.
Really?
Yeah. If you've never been there, I highly recommend it. I got to go tour around, and it was really nice.
Nice.
You're welcome, Vanderbilt. We do what we can. All right, that puts the Tennessee Titans on the clock with their own pick, as we said. So this is the second team with 2 picks. Second of 3 teams with 2 picks. And who do you think the Titans go with their second pick?
I feel like they get a true number 1 receiver in Corey Davis. I feel like they're a good enough team that if they got a true number 1, it could definitely push them to the top of their weak division. Yeah,
it's probably the most vulnerable division in football, the AFC South. I like that pick. I just don't think he'll be there at that time. I actually have them taking a receiving option, but not quite a receiver. I have them going with O.J. Howard from Alabama. Okay. That would give them the most dynamic tight end duo since that one guy and Rob Gronkowski.
Yeah, we're not going to mention him.
Yeah, so... say what you will. But that would give him a really formidable, athletic tight end group with Delaney Walker and O.J. Howard. It'd be pretty cool to watch. I think Mariota will only get better.
Oh, yeah. He definitely looks like the real deal.
Unfortunately, the fractured leg
the
end of last season, but I think he's got a very bright future. I think he answered a lot of doubters last year. Okay. Trucking along. Tampa Bay is now on the clock. What do you think?
I have them taking Christian McCaffrey.
Okay. That's actually pretty interesting. So Christian McCaffrey, part of a football bloodline. He's a very dynamic player with a very good combine.
Oh, yeah. I feel like it's almost the same thing as Cook. Another young quarterback would really like that out of the backfield option. And he can also help on the kick and punt returns.
Yeah. We actually had Cook and McCaffrey on opposite picks. I have Dalvin Cook here, just because I kind of wanted to get cute with my pick.
Yeah.
He used to play with famous Jameis at Florida State, so I think it'd be something that Tampa Bay would strongly consider if Cook was still there.
I feel like they just can't trust Doug Martin anymore. He's not really the player he was before, and now he's has some off the field issues.
Right. Something going on there, and not even sure if he'll be on the team come opening day.
And Jacquizz Rodgers doesn't scare anybody.
Not quite. Not quite. Decent third down back, but I don't think he's going to carry the team.
Yeah.
So, but an electrifying player like Cook or McCaffrey would just elevate this Bucs team.
Oh yeah.
They basically traded out Vincent Jackson for Deshaun Jackson. with Vincent Jackson leaving and
Mm-hmm.
Deshaun coming in free agency, and they have Mike Evans,
Oh yeah.
Cameron Brate, so it's a pretty good young team. Ali Marpet on the offensive line. He's a
A
beast.
steal.
Yeah. So, offensive linemen don't always get a lot of love, but they do here.
Hey,
They do here.
I'm a Dallas fan. I know all the love about offensive lines.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Moving into Denver's pick at 20. Kind of as a side note, do you buy any Romo to Denver rumors?
I feel like Houston's gonna have a better chance of getting him.
Mm-hmm.
Keeps him,
Yeah.
closer to home.
More complete team.
Yeah. Yeah. He wouldn't have to leave Texas.
Yeah, I think if I was Tony Romo, right? Imagine that, Eagles fan. If I put myself in those shoes, I would strongly consider give me a team with a better offensive line and a better chance to win now. I think as good as Denver is, DeMarcus Ware did just retire. Their offensive line isn't very good. I would have to strongly consider Houston.
Yeah. Not to mention, arguably the best defensive player.
Yeah,
in the
J.J.
league,
Watt
yeah.
and Jadeveon Clowney looked like the real
Oh,
deal in
yeah.
the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So they quietly had the best defense in the league last year.
Even with they had some losses in free agency on their defense,
Yeah.
but I still feel like
Yeah, John Simon and A.J. Boye, probably the guys that played the most snaps for
Yeah.
them that left.
I feel like they still have a chance of being a top 5 defense because they still have some really good players on that team.
Yeah. Anyway, so who do you think they take there at 20?
I have them taking a Temple guy, linebacker Hassan Reddick.
Hassan Reddick, good
I feel
pick.
like they missed Trevathan, so they need a linebacker, and he's also somebody that can come off the edge.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Reddick.
Mm-hmm.
And he did himself a lot of favors at the combine.
Oh yeah.
He looked like the
Lit
real
up.
deal, electrifying, moving his hips, and yeah, looks like he's going to be a really good player.
Mhm.
Really happy. Temple football program could
Yeah.
have 2 players taken in the first 2 rounds this year, so that's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
With Deion Dawkins being the other one. I went with my first offensive lineman of the draft, and even that's a little shaky. I think they go Ryan Ramczyk, tackle from Wisconsin. While that seems a little bit insane for a lineman not to come off until 20, it's the depth really
Yeah,
isn't
it's
there
just-
this year. So we'll see what happens. Detroit Lions, number 21. What do you think the boys in blue do?
I have them going after Adoree Jackson.
Okay.
Obviously, they have 2 good corners in
Mhm.
Darius Slay and Nevin Lawson. Lawson's in a contract year though, so
Right.
you need some
You can never have too
protection
many
there. Yeah,
good
they don't
corners.
really have much depth behind those 2, and he also helps in the return game too.
Yeah. My concerns with Adoree Jackson are that he's more of a special teams player
Mhm.
potentially, and I think that he's a little bit smaller. Teams are trying to get a little bit bigger at corner, so
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. I think he's probably I kind of have him going in the second round, but we'll see. I have the Lions taking Hassan Reddick, so 1 pick later, I think we're in the right neighborhood unless he continues to impress, which he may do.
He could easily move up a little bit.
Yeah, up into the teens.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So after the Lions come off the clock, the Miami Dolphins are on the clock. Miami, of course, had that bitter ending to their season.
Oh yeah.
Ryan Tannehill went down with injury, and then Antonio Brown just danced all the way up the field. So what do you think Miami does?
I have them going after the most intriguing player in this draft, Jabril Peppers.
Interesting.
They do have a need at safety,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously with a team, if they plan on catching New England at all, they need to stop TB12.
Yeah.
You need good players in your secondary to do that.
Yeah, you get someone that knows Tom to
Mhm.
stop him. Tom Brady being a Michigan man. Jabril Peppers, safety from Michigan. There's legitimate questions. Some scouts think he should play running back.
Oh yeah.
So there's a lot of
He's very versatile.
there's a lot of fluidity in the air surrounding Jabril Peppers, and I think, man, I'd love to see him play safety, but at the same time, if he was more dynamic on offense, I'd love to see him there too. I have the Dolphins taking cornerback Garyon Conley
Mm-hmm.
from Ohio State. He had an excellent combine, vaulted himself into that first round. I'm just curious if this is too late for Conley.
Mm-hmm.
He may actually get bumped up higher. So we'll see what happens. Number 23. Tom's Jersey native here. The East Rutherford
That's not
Jersey
that's
Giants.
not real Jersey. That's like Southern New York.
Yeah. So the New York Football Giants, the G-Men, as they're wont to be called. Who do you have them taking?
I have that. That's where my first offensive lineman goes. And I'm going after Cam Robinson.
Cam Robinson, okay.
I mean, if you could have him play left tackle, Eric Flowers just has not turned out. They have plenty of weapons on offense, but they need to give Eli time to get it to those guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I know Eli would be happy with your pick, and Brandon Marshall and the like. I actually have them taking Jabril Peppers.
Okay.
I think that if you paired Peppers with Landon Collins, watch out. That'd be a fun safety. I mean, Landon Collins was third in Defensive Player of the Year voting this past season, and he absolutely deserved every bit of those votes. I'm a little bitter saying that, but Jabril Peppers, he's probably the most exciting player in this draft, and I think the G-Men would be a lot better with him. Which brings us to the Oakland Raiders. Who do you think? The still currently Oakland Raiders.
Yes, I feel like they need a little bit of help in the middle of the defensive front. So I have them going after Caleb Brantley.
Okay.
Defensive tackle from Florida.
Okay.
Their defense is very young.
Yeah.
And they
for sure.
They definitely look better going on throughout the season, but they still have a hole up the middle there. So that would just give somebody that they can plug in there from day one. Try to slow down any running backs coming through there. Yeah,
Derek Carr would certainly thank you for that pick. I actually have them going on the other side of the trench. They're already pretty strong on the offensive line, but watching that playoff game against Houston, the Texans, who are good in their own right, they had their way with Oakland's offensive line. Now, granted, that was without Donald Penn, but I think they shore up that last position next to Rodney Hudson, and they go with offensive guard Forrest Lamp from Western Kentucky. As long as Derek Carr stays healthy, I think they're a playoff team. Whether it's wild card or winning the division, Kansas City's pretty good, Denver's pretty good. No offense, LA, but I think they go on the other side of the trench.
Chargers lose 12 to 15 players every year to injury. So.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. 2 years in a row. The injury bug is real, or it was real in San Diego.
That's probably why they left.
That's why they left. No offense, San Diego. Okay, we're getting that back end of the draft now. This is where historically a lot of the trades happen. People start moving around, but
trying to come back up from the second round.
Get that guy that they really wanted. But here at 25, Houston's on the clock. What do you think?
Well, I see them going after Tony Romo, whether it's through trade or free agency. But
I don't disagree at all.
That's a quick fix. 1, 2, 3 years, maybe tops. So I have them going after their future and Mitchell Trubisky.
Okay.
He's somebody who can learn behind Romo for at least a year. I feel like that would really help him out. Yeah.
Learning from truly one of the game's best. I mean, it's bittersweet saying that. He doesn't have the playoff success, but, Tony Romo, when you're looking at quarterback rating, one of the top of all time. So that would be very good.
I mean, he's definitely carried the Cowboys for the better part of his career.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a similar thought. I think they're going to go after Romo. I think they're going to get Romo. And while he is a hit away from being off the field, I think Bill O'Brien would love to have somebody to groom behind Romo. In my mock draft, the best quarterback left is Deshaun Watson. So I have the Houston Texans going after Watson from Clemson, and he gets to learn behind Tony Romo. Not a bad gig.
Yeah.
On to one of the perennial powerhouses. Seattle Seahawks on the clock at 26. What do you think?
Well, as we talked about in our previous podcast, that O-line is not very good.
It's not all gravy.
So I have them going after Garrett Bowles.
Okay, yeah.
They definitely need to keep Russell Wilson upright.
Look at that. We've got 4 of the same picks.
There we go.
Garrett Bowles out of Utah. Keeping Russell Wilson had a pretty banged up year, especially earlier on in the year.
Had that ugly-looking knee injury that was obviously not as bad as it looked, but
you never want to see that.
You don't want to risk anything like that.
Yeah. Russell Wilson is their franchise quarterback, and when he's getting thrown around, something's not right.
Yeah. So you got a guy that's mobile, and if he's still getting hit,
but don't you worry. They brought in Eddie Lacy. Everything's going to be okay now.
He's pretty much a lineman himself. So.
Maybe he'll play tackle.
Yeah.
He has weight incentives in his contract, so we'll see what happens with Mr. Lacey.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Big Red and the Kansas City Chiefs on the clock.
I know they're your backup team.
They're my backup team. What does that mean? Yes, I'm a former season ticket holder of the Kansas City Chiefs, and I was out there in 2014. So Big Red was there. They didn't make the playoffs that year, but it was a lot of fun. Arrowhead's a really cool place. Had a lot of good times there.
Yeah.
So who do you think, Big Red and the Chiefs take?
See, I feel like the Chiefs are a very good team, except for their quarterback. I feel like Alex Smith, he's a good enough quarterback.
Wow.
But he can't win the big games. So I have them going after Deshaun Watson.
Okay.
He can learn from behind Smith the nuances of the NFL, and I feel like he's a big game winner, and that's something they need.
I respectfully disagree.
I bet you do.
Yeah, I'm an Alex Smith fan over here.
I like Alex Smith, but he's shown that once playoff time come, he can't keep up with the Tom Brady's and the Ben Roethlisbergers. And
yeah, it's tough to do.
Yeah.
Those guys are pretty good.
Yeah.
I certainly don't think Deshaun Watson will keep up with them either. But he's younger, so he won't have to.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Except maybe Brady will play until he's 63.
Yeah.
We don't know yet.
He'll probably get another 10 Super Bowls.
Yeah, he eats like the healthiest, craziest diet. I read somewhere, I don't know how true it was, that he's never had coffee in his entire life. I don't know what I would do without coffee. So
well, see, I'm not a coffee fan, so I can side with him on that one.
There you go. I think that Kansas City shores up that other side of the defensive backfield. I have them taking Fabian Morio from UCLA, even with his pec injury.
Mm-hmm.
I think he'll still be ready for camp. Peters on one side, Morio on the other. I think a sleeper pick here. I think this is where, if the Chiefs are feeling froggy and want to leap, I think they go after Sidney Jones, corner from Washington. So watch out for that one.
Yeah.
Pair up Peters with his old buddy. Peters and Sidney Jones would be pretty scary.
Yeah. I mean, if they think they really believe in him, first round pick on a guy who's not going to play.
Yeah, in year one. Yeah, it would be tough, but I think that's a sneaky pick there.
It's hard to sell that to the fans, but I mean, obviously, you look 10 years down the road.
Right.
If it works out, I mean, they can't be too mad.
Exactly, and I think just look at Peters. 14 interceptions in his first 2 years. So it's
a baller.
Yep. Oh boy. I almost feel like having a drum roll of some kind. There it is. The Dallas Cowboys.
The Dallas Cowboys. America's team.
Formerly known as America's team.
No, still known as America's team.
I don't know about that.
I do.
Yeah. The Dallas Cowboys. Who do you think, Tom? Who do you think? They're on the clock. Jerry Jones is fidgeting around in the war room. He's calling Johnny Manziel. He's doing all kinds of weird stuff. Who do you think Jerry Jones takes with the 28th pick in the 2017 NFL Draft?
Well, I feel like, their offense is pretty set right now. Obviously, clearly, they need to focus on defense, with the two biggest needs being defensive end and corner.
Mm-hmm.
So I have them going after defensive end and Mr. Taco Charlton from Michigan.
Yeah. Yeah, that's our 5th identical pick.
Yeah.
Okay.
I really like the name Taco.
Yeah, that's a fun name. Not his real name, but it's a fun name.
I get that.
Yeah. Yeah, Taco Charlton, defensive end out of Michigan. I think based on both of our mock drafts, who's left on the board, I think that Taco Charlton is the most complete defensive lineman left on the board. He can play the run pretty well, set the edge, but he can also rush the passer. I think if Dallas gets Taco Charlton, they'll finally have a pretty good defensive lineman that'll be really consistent for them.
Yeah.
I know that
can play 16 games a year.
Yeah, it's a pretty big deal. You have Randy Gregory. He's suspended this coming year for a while. DeMarcus Lawrence has missed some time with injury.
Has the back problems, so
yeah. So it's rough for Dallas defensive linemen, and also rough for their defensive backfield. While I do think they go defensive line in the first round, I absolutely expect them to take a corner in the second or a safety, just based on the fact that they lost 4 starters. You have Claiborne, Carr, Church,
Wilcox.
J.J. Wilcox all left in the same offseason. That's pretty intense.
It was a pretty big hit.
Pretty much leaves Orlando Scandrick and Byron Jones So
Anthony Brown. Don't
Anthony
sleep
Brown.
on him.
I'm sleeping. I'm asleep at the wheel. Okay. Based on my mock draft, I could also see. I still had Tack McKinley on the board. I think he could be another pick, or Charles Harris from Missouri.
Yeah,
another pass rusher.
I feel like he's a good consolation prize if Charlton doesn't fall to them.
Yeah. There's a good chance he could go a lot higher. Mm-hmm. All right, the Cheeseheads.
The Cheeseheads.
They're on the clock. Those Green Bay Packers. How could you forget the season they had? You got another relax going on. They ups and downs. There was even rumors that McCarthy would get fired, and they turned it around and they ended up beating some team in the playoffs.
I don't remember.
You don't remember that one?
No.
Yeah.
They beat the Giants, right?
I was thinking of that team in the Fort Worth area.
Oh, okay.
Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, okay, then.
Yeah, there was some kind of crazy catch by Jared Cook.
I forget it.
You wouldn't know anything about it?
No.
Okay. Anywho, Green Bay's on the clock. Who do you think? Do you think they're gonna help their defense, or are they gonna help Aaron Rodgers' side of the ball?
So this is probably the most controversial pick that I have.
Okay.
It definitely fills a need that they have. It is Joe Mixon.
Joe Mixon in the first round.
Obviously, he has his off-the-field issues, but for whatever reason, he is climbing draft boards.
You're like a shock jock right now, saying controversial things. Joe Mixon, I know that if I was ever in the position to be an NFL general manager and I saw the terrible thing that he did, and I know that people make mistakes, but if I would take him off my draft board. I know there are teams that will probably draft him in the second round, maybe the first. He is climbing draft boards, but I wouldn't take him. He would be crossed off my board.
I just feel like
it's pretty disgusting. That
on
video.
The field, he is the most complete back.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like
yeah,
he hasn't had really any other off the field issues. I mean,
it's a pretty big one.
It is, but I mean, it's something obviously teams are going to have to really look into.
Yeah, I don't envy people that are stuck in that situation where they have to, because it is a business.
It is,
and you want the most talented players, but at the same time, those players represent your organization.
They do
24/7, and it was a pretty rough thing that happened.
Mm-hmm.
He assaulted that woman. So
he did.
We'll see what happens. I gave Green Bay a running back as well. I gave them the best running back in this draft.
Is he?
Perhaps. I gave them Alvin Kamara, running back from Tennessee. He's very agile. Mm-hmm. He's really dynamic, and that would just give Rodgers one heck of a tool out of the backfield.
Oh, yeah. He definitely needs somebody to hand it off to. I mean, Montgomery filled in well last year, but he's not a true number one receiver or running back.
Yeah.
He
was literally a wide receiver.
Yeah. But they definitely need somebody.
Kamara's a really good running back. He was actually recruited by and given a scholarship to Alabama originally, and transferred to Tennessee. But I think he's going to be really good.
Yeah,
Watch out.
They definitely need to take some pressure off Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
while he can do it all, he shouldn't have to do it all.
Exactly. If they give him a better surrounding cast, Jordy Nelson, year 2 back from injury.
And obviously,
Randall Cobb.
Martellus Bennett.
Yeah, Martellus Bennett joining the team, so that only makes them better.
Devontae Adams actually started, playing well. So
yeah, 2 of the craziest catches from last season. Yeah. Okay. So, 3 picks left.
3.
We're at that back end where those really good teams are from
except
last
for the
season.
Saints.
Number 30. The Pittsburgh Steelers.
See, I have them taking. It's a little bit of a luxury pick.
Okay.
I had them going after David Njoku.
Okay, tight end.
I feel like Ladarius Green can't stay healthy.
Right.
He's always missing time.
Yeah, every year.
I feel like it would just give Big Ben a good option in the middle of the field.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, he has arguably the best receiver out wide.
Oh, yeah.
So, if he's getting double covered, it's a big target that he can get it to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. I like that pick. I'm a fan of David Njoku, but with a couple of their long-time linebackers heading out the door, I think they go linebacker here, and I think they take the best one on the board. I think they take T.J. Watt. He just feels like a Steeler to me. He can do it all. Mm-hmm. Very versatile. He makes up for the loss of, Timmons and Jarvis Jones. Big time. I think he's a much better player.
Yeah. Not a bad pick.
Bringing us to the Super Bowl runner-up.
should have been winner.
Atlanta Falcons, the one-time 25-3,
Mm-hmm.
28-3,
yes.
28-3 in the Super Bowl, thinking they're cruising to victory.
Oh, yeah. Everyone thought they were cruising the victory.
Mm-hmm. Everyone but Tom Brady and
Yeah.
Julian Edelman. So the Falcons are on the board. They had a pretty solid defense
Mhm.
and an MVP on offense. What do you think they do?
I feel like they get somebody to give them arguably the best offensive line in football in Forrest Lamp.
Okay.
I feel like their one kind of weakness on the O-line is at a right guard position.
Mhm.
I feel like he would shore that up.
Yeah, they made big strides last year bringing in Alex Mack.
Mhm.
Made a huge difference at center.
Levitre they brought in halfway
Mhm.
through the year before that.
Yeah.
I feel like just getting
that'd
one
be
more guy to kind of
big-time
solidify
player.
that would really help them out.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
Not a sexy pick, but it would definitely help.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's you usually see those smarter teams building around those trenches.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have Atlanta taking David Njoku from Miami, giving Matt Ryan another piece of the puzzle. They weren't the strongest at tight end, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, ever since Gonzalez retired.
Right. So I think that Njoku gives them an instant starter, makes an impact on day one. We've reached the final pick of the first round in the 2017 NFL Draft.
We have.
And I'm sure we're both wildly accurate in all of these picks, even though they're not the same.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Each team is going to get all the players that we said they're getting.
Exactly. That's exactly right. So who do you have? So the Saints are on the clock, the third team with 2 picks currently in the first round.
Yes. So as I mentioned in their first pick, they need help on defense. I
Yes.
have them taking the best defensive player available in TJ Watt.
Okay.
I feel like they won't double down secondary in the first round. I mean, they could definitely. I mean, they have another pick, 11 picks later. There'll be another good secondary player that they could also try to grab if they wanted to double down on that.
Yeah.
But I feel like at 32, TJ Watt's too good to pass up on.
Yeah, if he makes it to 32, no matter what team's on the board, they should strongly consider TJ Watt. I actually, since I didn't have them, I had them taking Derek Barnett earlier. I had them going defensive backfield, which they clearly need. I have them taking Chidobe Awuzie from Colorado, the corner. 2 instant defensive starters in 1 round.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's still banter that they might get Malcolm Butler. Not really sure. Would they trade New England back their pick?
Which would just
Be
seem
really strange.
useless. They should have just traded Butler for.
So not really sure what's happening there. But if they stay put, I don't think we could disagree. But I think they go defense if they have 2 picks in the first round. Defense. Unless for some reason, way, shape, or form, they decide they want to go after John Ross earlier. But to try to replace Brandon Cooks, but it would seem like a moot point.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to get rid of somebody just to draft somebody that's very similar in style.
Right. Yeah. So that is it.
That is.
It was 32 picks. Thanks for hanging in with us. If you're listening, let us know what you think. Head over to our website, www.dbcfootball.com. Let us know, hey, I think you're idiots, or, wow, you guys are geniuses.
Send us your mock drafts.
Send us your mock drafts. We'd love to bounce some ideas off you, interact with you. Let us know what you think. We'll let you know what we think. You can find our contact information on the website itself, or you can find our mock drafts on our blog page and comment directly beneath it. So let us know. We look forward to hearing from you. You can also find us on social media. At DBC_football. Sorry for the cheesy echo. And find us on YouTube. Subscribe to our podcast. We are on Stitcher, iTunes, Blueberry, or whatever it is you may use. Thanks for listening. We look forward to bringing you back on episode 3 upcoming next week. Look out for us. Thanks for your time.
All right, bye.